Hey guys, Alex here with Serious Goose Games. Welcome back to our Unity Tactics RPG tutorial. Last time we limited our unit movement, and today we're going to set up turns so that our units will be able to move again. So to get things started, we want to switch into 2D view because we're going to add a couple of UI elements. So in the scene window, there's a little button that says 2D. We want to click that to enable it. And then we're going to right click in our hierarchy, go down to UI, and we're going to add a canvas. And if I double click it in the hierarchy, it will center it on our scene view. Next, I'm going to right click on the canvas, go down to UI, and we're going to add a panel. We're going to name this panel Manager Menu. So this menu is going to act as kind of the, not pause menu, but it'll give you the option to like end your turn. It'll display a mini map to let you see the mission objectives. Just kind of give general information and control to the player. Now on this manager menu, we need to add component, and we're going to look for a canvas group component. This will allow us to change the visibility of the panel, and we can toggle that with a button. Next, we're going to right click on our manager menu. We're going to add a new panel. And this panel is going to be off to the side a bit, and this will store all of the buttons available to our player. Whereas the big section on the left will primarily have information. This will have buttons that the player can interact with to influence or change gameplay. As far as the layout and aesthetics go, you can set this up however you'd like. I prefer to have my actions on the right side of the screen. And if I set my anchor to be the right side, you can see the width, I'm going to set to 500, and position X is going to be -250. Now, the second panel that we created, we are going to name it Action Panel. And then we're going to right click on it, go down to UI, and we're going to add a Text Mesh Pro button. Now, when you use Text Mesh Pro for the first time, it's going to ask you if you want to import different things. We want to import the essentials, but we do not need the examples and extras. So once you click the Import TMP Essentials, you can go ahead and close that window. And this button is going to be called End Turn Button. For anchoring, I'm going to anchor it to the bottom center of the screen. I'm going to set the width to be 250, the height to be 100, and the position on the y-axis is going to be 200. Then I'm going to expand the drop down in the hierarchy next to End Turn Button, select text, change the text to say End Turn. I'm also going to increase the font size to probably 38. Now we're going to add more UI stuff later, but let's get started with the code. And the way that I want to make our turn setup work is closer to like Advanced Wars than Fire Emblem or XCOM. In Fire Emblem and XCOM, you kind of have the player turn, then you have the enemy turn. If there are like allied units, they'll have a turn in there, and it goes player, ally, enemy, player, ally, enemy. In Advanced Wars, you have different factions instead, and it cycles through. So the idea is similar, but it's all going to be kind of that same player object. Just if it's computer controlled, it'll be marked with that, and it will have its own little AI component. But this will make it so that if we decide to try and play around with multiplayer, it'll be super easy to implement because our turn manager isn't going to have to factor that in. It also makes it so we can have many factions, not just like 3. The downside to that is the time between turns will definitely take longer, and that can lead to some pretty boring gameplay if you're not careful. So to get into the code, we're going to right click in our scripts folder, go to create, mono behavior script, and we will call this turn manager. And then go ahead and open that up. So the first thing I want to do is add a namespace. Because we are messing with Text Mesh Pro, we're going to do using TM Pro. Next, we're going to add a bunch of things as globals. So we need a public player array called players. Then we need a public int called active player index. By default, that'll be set to 0. And then we need a public int called turn, and we'll default that to 1. So the player array will be essentially a list of all the players. The player index will keep track of whose turn it is, and then turn we will display to the player to show them how many turns it's been. And we're tracking the number of turns because one of the victory conditions we could have would be survive for X number of turns, or maybe you lose if a certain number of turns has passed and you haven't killed all the enemies yet. So it allows us to have turn-based or time-based conditions. Now we need a bunch of UI references. So let's grab a public text mesh pro UGUI called turn display. And we need another one called banner text. Now banner text might seem a little odd, but in most tactics games, when a turn starts, there will be like a banner or something that kind of pops up on the screen saying whose turn it is. We didn't create that. We're going to create that at the end. But we need to be able to display like the player's name on there. Next, we're going to do a public canvas group called turn banner. And then lastly, we're going to do a public float called fade speed. We're going to set that to be equal to 0.5f. And that's going to be how fast the banner fades from an alpha of 1 to 0. Before we keep going, we're going to hop into our player script. And we need to create a string to represent the player's name. So public string player name. And while we're in here, we're going to create a function, a public void called reset units. And inside here, it's just going to be for each unit in player units. We're going to grab the unit.movementLeft and set it to be equal to unit.movementRange. Eventually we can put other things in here, but right now all we need it to do is set our movement left back to the maximum so that we can move again on a new turn. Now let's hop back into Turn Manager. Inside Start, we're going to set our turn banner dot alpha to be equal to 1. We'll grab our banner text dot text, and we'll set this to be equal to interpolated strings, so $, and then we'll pass in players, active player index, dot player names. Okay. Then we're going to set our turn display dot text to be equal to another interpolation, turn, colon, and then we'll pass in whatever the turn number is. Now we're going to fade out the banner. So inside update, we're going to do an if statement. If our turn banner dot alpha is greater than 0, then we're going to set our turn banner dot alpha. We're going to subtract the fade speed times time dot delta time. So at the moment, with our fade speed being 0.5, this should take 2 seconds to fade. And if that's too slow, we can always change it. Now we're going to create a new method. This will be a public void called endTurn. We're going to call reset units on our active player. Then we're going to set our active player index to increase. So active player index is going to be equal to active player index plus 1. Then we're going to mod it by players.length. So what this does is it will make sure that our active player index is always going to be a valid index. And we don't have to do an if statement check to see, oh, are we on the last player? No? Great. If we are on the last player, then we want to reset back to the first player. Doing this little mod system makes it so we don't have to do any of that if statement. But the if statement we do need is to update the turn. So if our active player index is equal to 0, meaning we've circled back around to the first player in the cycle, then we want to increase our turn, because a full turn means every player has gone. So we want to increment turn once we loop back around to the first player. And then we're going to update our turn display. So turn display dot text is equal to turn, and then we'll pass in the turn. Then we want to change the banner text to the same thing, the player's name. And then we're going to set the turn banner.alpha to be 1. So we're going to display the banner again. And we're going to go ahead and save all our code. And we're going to hop back to Unity because we need to create another new script called UI Manager. So right click in your scripts folder, go to Create, Mono Behavior Script, UI Manager. Double click to open that. Now inside here, we can get rid of start. We're not going to need it. And in fact, we don't even need to create any variables here, but we do want to create a couple new functions. The first one is a public void called close menu. Inside here, we're going to add 3 lines of code that are just going to modify our canvas group. And the canvas group we want to modify, we're going to pass in as an argument. So canvas group menu. And then we'll do menu.alpha equals 0, menu.interactable equals false, and then menu.blocks.writeCast equals false. And then after that, we're going to create a new function, which will basically be the opposite. So open menu, we'll pass in a canvas group menu, and then we're going to do the opposite of everything we did before. Menu.alpha is equal to 1, interactable equals true, blocks.writeCast equals true. So go ahead and save that, and we need to go back to Unity again. Now, if you have followed all of the steps I've shown in every video we've done up to this point, you should still have this input system actions asset. If you don't, you can right-click in your project folder and then create a new one. So if you go to create, it's going to be down at the bottom, input actions. And we want to select that input system actions asset, and we're going to check the generate C# class box. We want to make sure that the C# class file is going to be in our scripts folder, our C# class name. I'll leave it as default, input system underscore actions, and then it'll just be under a global namespace, and we can hit apply. Now, if we go to our scripts, we can see now we have a C# script with our input actions that's been generated. And we need this because we need to be able to reference our input actions. Now, if we go to edit up at the top and we go down to project settings, we want to look at our input actions. We want to add a new action. So we're going to hit this plus button. It's a new action. We're going to name it menu or manager menu. And this is going to be whatever button the player needs to press to open up this menu to end their turn or look at the menu map, see the objectives, that kind of thing. And for me, I'm going to use tab. So we're going to click this little drop down here where it says no binding. We're going to select that. For path, I'm going to change it to tab. You can use whatever key you'd like. We want to select menu manager, make sure that action type is set to button. It should be by default, but just in case. And then with all that done, we can head back into our code. So now we've got that C# script, we can actually reference it, and we're going to need to. So we're going to do public input system actions. If you renamed yours, you're going to put in whatever name you put in for that script. And we're going to call it input actions. And then we're going to create a public canvas group called manager menu. Next, we're going to add the awake method. So private void awake. Inside here, we're going to assign our input actions to be equal to a new input system actions. And then we're going to enable them. So input actions dot enable. Next, we're going to create another little helper function. And this is going to be a public bool called check if menu open. We're going to pass in a canvas group called menu. And inside here, we're just going to do an if else statement. So if menu.alpha equals 1, then we're going to return true. Otherwise, we're going to return false. Now, up inside update, we want to check if the player has pressed our manager menu key. So if they press tab in my case, then we need to open the menu. Otherwise, we need to close the menu. So we're going to do if input actions dot player dot manager menu dot was pressed this frame. And this is essentially the same as the old input system get button down. So if they press the tab key, we want to check if the menu is open. So if check if menu open, we're going to pass in our manager menu. If it's open, we're going to close it. Otherwise, we're going to open it. So go ahead and save all of your code. And let's head back to Unity. So we're going to create a couple of empty game objects. The first one is going to be UI manager. And then we're going to create another one called turn manager. So the UI manager, we're going to drag our UI manager script onto. And then in this slot where it says manager menu, we want to drag our manager menu into that slot. Then we're going to grab our turn manager and drag our turn manager script onto it. And we'll come back and assign these references momentarily. But I'm going to grab our manager menu and I'm going to go down into canvas group. I'm going to set its alpha to 0 and uncheck these boxes because right now I want to create that banner. So I'm going to right click on my canvas. I'm going to go to UI panel. I'm going to center it in the screen, set the anchors to make sure that it is stretching all the way across horizontally in the middle. Right now its height is full screen. We don't want that. We want it to be probably about half of that. So that would be at 540. In fact, we could probably go even smaller, probably down to 400. And we're going to rename this panel turn banner. And we need to add a canvas group to this because this is the banner that's going to be faded in and out. Next, right click on the turn banner, go down to UI and add a text mesh pro object. This will be called banner text. I'm going to click on the anchor settings in the rect transform. I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt, and I'm going to stretch it to take up the entire panel. I'll change the text to say player's turn, and I'm going to check the auto size box. You can see that that is not nearly large enough. So when you use auto size, you can set the minimum and maximum sizes. Right now the max is 72. I want to crank that all the way up to 300. And then I'm going to align it center on horizontal and vertical. So with that done, we can grab our turn manager. We can grab our banner text, drag that into the banner text slot. A turn banner, we can drag into the turn banner slot. And then for turn display, we're going to make our menu manager visible again. Make it interactable, block strike cast. Turn banner, we'll make it invisible. And actually we want to uncheck interactable and block strike cast anyway. We never want them to be able to interact with that. All we're going to do is change the alpha. So on the manager menu, we are going to right click on our action panel, go to UI and add text. This text I'm going to anchor to the top of the panel. I'm going to change its height to be 100. I'm going to change the left to be 50 and the right to be 50. And I'm going to change its position Y to be negative 200. I'm going to change the text to say turn, set it to auto size, and center align it. And then make sure that this text is named turn text or turn display. Then we can grab our turn manager and drag that into the slot. Then we can grab our menu manager, change the alpha and everything on the canvas group. Grab our turn manager, and we're going to drag our player object into our players list. Then select your player, give it a name. In this case, I'm just going to call it human, and then save your scene, and we should be good to hit play. And as soon as I hit play, we should see the banner pop up. So if I go in, yeah, we can see human's turn shows up. It fades out a little slow. We might need to speed that up. If I hit tab, we can see that our menu pops up. We have end turn. Now end turn isn't going to do anything yet because I actually forgot to assign that. So before we continue with testing, let's grab that button, end turn button, scroll down in the inspector to where it says on click, hit the little plus button next to it. We're going to drag our turn manager into this slot that just showed up. And we're going to click the no function drop down, go to turn manager and turn. Then we're going to hit the plus button again. And we're going to add our UI manager. We're going to click no function, UI manager, close menu, and it's asking for a canvas group. We're going to pass in our menu manager. So now when we end our turn, our menu is also going to close. And while we're right here, let's go to our turn manager and increase the fade speed to 1. So we'll save our scene and let's test this out again. And as soon as we load in, we can see our banner still works. It's a little faster now. If we hit tab, our menu will also toggle. And if we click our end turn button, our banner shows up again, menu closes. If I were to move around my units until they have no movement left, and then I go and I end my turn, you can see their movement has been reset, and I can move them again. So that we can move, we're going to start getting our combat system rolling, and to do that, we're going to create our first enemy next video, and add the ability for units to move to kind of an optimal position for their attack range, which will make sense once we actually do it. It's kind of a niche feature and not in a lot of games. That's all for today though, so if you like the progress we're making, hit like so other devs can find this series, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Sound off in the comments with what themes you guys are going to use for your project. I really like things that combine technology and magic, so I'm probably going to take that route. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Alex with Serious Goose Games, and I'll see you in the next one.